message to clarify your doubts. Okay. Once your doubts are clarified, please don't send me okay, thank you. Okay. See, these are see what does it? These are the free sessions. We call it as demos because a lot of new students will be joining, so we will be going a bit slow. But sir is not taking the same topic every day, right? Ashok, can you hear me? Ashok. Yeah. These are the free sessions here. These are the continuation classes. Once the batch is formed, sir will brush up the entire course from the day one. Just he will go with the outline, what I have thought from the day one. He'll go through it. If you have any doubts, sir will clarify the doubts also. So you can join the class. Okay.
Thank you so much, Shrikant.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So just a minute. Guys, this week also you join with the same link. Okay, most probably by Monday we are going to change the link. And sir will explain you a lot of students asking about the notes. Sir will let you know about the notes, how he's going to provide either Google Classroom or GitHub. Okay. Sir, కొంచెం అది వాళ్ళ క్లారిటీ ఇచ్చారా సార్?
Sure. Yeah, I will tell them.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shrikant. Yeah, guys, I got a lot of questions from the previous candidates also, how we are going to provide the notes. I'm not going to tell anything from my side, but it's a practical demo. But whatever the things that I'm telling from day one, these are not actual sessions. Again, I am saying. So this is the way where I actually provide a lot of notes. If you just see this fake notification system, right? So here I have actually given a lot of steps and what are these annotations are meant for, and what are these annotations are meant for, and what are these annotations are meant for. Every thing I will be giving in the form of the GitHub project itself. So whatever the topic that we are going to discuss from day one, everything will be committed with the theory part in this GitHub account along with the project. Got it? So this is what you just have to confirm from your side, whether you can follow it along. Because I cannot continuously talk and give the notes. I don't know how many people are taking the notes. So this is the digital world. We need to follow some principles so that we can give some description of the today's topic through the GitHub. Okay, and I will also tell you how to use GitHub and all these kind of things once the actual sessions are going to start from Monday. Got it? Yeah, so that's the total idea. I will tell you how the GitHub link can be accessed and how you can clone these projects. Everything I will tell you from day one. Because this is not a day one, because these are actually the demo sessions, which are continuation on the path. So once we start from day one, I will start taking the sessions on Docker, because since we are actually developing microservices, we cannot be on the path that right now we are running our applications with our hands, but it has to be done in an automated way. Because once we deploy our applications into the cloud, it's up to the cloud how it is going to run the application, because there will be no developer intervention over there, right? So that's the total idea. And today I will tell you one mechanism on how to run our, how to build our Spring Boot application and how to run that using some commands. Okay. But if you just wanted to ask any questions right now, please don't ask it, because yesterday I have taken a lot of time for demo sessions are included in the regular course, right? Yeah, it will be a part of the major course. You don't have to worry about that, Ashok. Okay. Yeah, thank you. So let me go to IntelliJ, and also I will tell you about the IntelliJ also from day one, because these are not actual sessions, these are demo sessions. Okay. Today I just wanted to discuss about yeah. Okay. So right now we are actually developing Spring Boot applications, but anyone knows what is the Spring Boot application first? What is Spring Boot? Because we have not discussed most of the things. I will be discussing from day one, but today I just wanted to introduce one topic, one software, which makes Spring Boot application so much special for all the developers and even to the cloud also. Anyone knows about it? No, it's not something like Sunil. So if you ask me truly, IntelliJ is right now being used by most of the organizations. STS and Eclipse, these are old IDEs. Okay. Yeah. So I will tell you on how to use IntelliJ, how to use shortcuts, how to create classes, how to search classes, and also how to build projects in IntelliJ. I will also tell all those kind of mechanisms. Okay. Okay, so Murali Krishna has answered, it is a framework developed on top of J2EE to make it easy development of the Java applications like standalone. No, Spring Boot is not a framework, first of all. Auto configuration of Spring application, good. Auto configuration is also one of the feature. Okay. So it is a style of Spring application configuration, Spring module, different answers from so many people. But I just wanted to say one major point. See, whenever anyone is going to, it's not a part of Spring framework, Gaurav. Spring framework is independent. Okay. No, everyone is wrong. Let me tell you what are Spring Boot applications. First of all, it is a tool. It is not a tool. It's just a technology. There is a tool which is something called Spring Initializer to develop Spring Boot applications, Rajesh. So if you just see this start.spring.io, this is a Spring Initializer tool to develop Spring Boot applications. Okay. Yeah. Now I will tell you Spring Boot so Spring Boot basically provides some platform to Spring Framework applications in order to develop, and it makes Spring Framework applications as production grade application. Do you know, first of all, what is the production grade application? First of all, anyone knows about production grade? We are using Spring Boot technology to develop Spring Framework based applications, which are production grade. Anyone knows about what is production grade, first of all? Yeah, we can also use it in distributed environment. That's good. But what exactly we can say that once this application is deployed on cloud, can we monitor our application? Good, Giridhar. Ready to deploy and monitor the health check. Good, very good. But how we are going to check the health status of our application? No. Log is not going to provide the health status, right? Yeah. Production ready. Good. Very good. Anyone? Okay. Let me ask about one software which was provided by Spring Boot. One library is Actuator. Anyone knows about it? Anyone knows about Actuator, first of all? Okay. So Spring Boot is very much special to develop different kinds of dashboards with this Actuator endpoint only. So we need to add Actuator in our machine. That means in our Spring Boot application to make it as production grade application. Okay. Now I will just go to the yesterday's application, but I will not give you a walkthrough because anyhow we will start the mini project. From there, we will actually start all the Spring Core related topics and everything. Now, if you just go to this pom.xml, and let's see if everything is running over here. Yeah, okay, fine. So now I'll close all the tabs. And here, I just wanted to add one dependency. Spring -boot -starter. There is an actuator. Okay. So once you add this actuator, which is from Spring Boot, this makes our application as production grade application. And it provides a lot of endpoints which we can use for our developments. That means, let's say if our application is running on our machine, we can see the CPU load. We can get the metrics of our application. Let's say there are any memory leaks in our application. We can also get the memory leaks information through the heap dump, right? And also, if you just wanted to check the health endpoint, you can also check that. Okay. But probably let's run this application after adding this endpoint as a dependency. And let me reload this project first of all. I will tell you what is this reload project in IntelliJ. I will tell you each and everything, but don't worry about it right now. So let me run this application first of all. Use the registration system and run this. Let me see other people answers also. Good. Yeah. So here we got an exception. I think it is already listening in 8088. Okay. So I have, for previous batch, I have actually run this application on some specific port. I just wanted to make this application to run on 9090. Just restart it. So we can also make our application to run on specific port, because by default Tomcat runs on 8080. You can also change that port using server.port to 9090. Okay. Yeah, it started. Now, if you just see in the logs, first of all, exposing one endpoint beneath base path /actuator. Okay. Now let's see what happens over here. I just wanted to type localhost. Our application is running on 9090 and then /actuator. We get some endpoints that are related to this one. If you just see this localhost 9090 actuator health. Right now our application is running, right? I will just click on this and I will just go to the next tab. And here you can see the status is up. Let's say if our application is deployed on cloud, I can monitor my application health and other related metrics. But if you see that, how many endpoints are given over here? Only 3. But what about remaining? That means Spring Boot is not exposing most of the endpoints. It just exposes only the health endpoint. Then probably we need to do some configuration in our application.yaml file. So if you just go behind this, there is something called management dot endpoints. You can see there are lots and lots of info over here. Okay, I just wanted to select managements.endpoints, and instead of this, and there is something called a health. Okay, management endpoints. There is something called caches, metrics, a lot of things. There is something called a exposure. So here I just wanted to mention it as endpoints. And here, so here you can see that there is something called a web. And here there is something called exposure. And here include. And here I just wanted to make a star to include all the endpoints related to our application, complete application. Okay. If I just restart my application now, I just wanted to stop it and rerun this again. What happens over here now? So it will expose all the endpoints instead of showing this endpoints. It will show complete endpoints of our application so that we can use it in our production in order to see some dashboards visually. Okay. So let it start. First of all, it started, and then probably I will refresh it. And you can see that there are hell number of endpoints. Health, info, conditions, environment. We'll also work on Spring profiles to see how we can actually enable dev environment, QA environment, prod environment, something like that. And also, if you can see, there is something called a heap dump to analyze this heap dump. So there are some visual tools also. I will tell you once the time comes. And these are the metrics of the application. Let's see what is there inside this metrics first of all. Can you see this? So application ready time, application started time. And then that means Hikari, that means right now we are using database, right? Right, so it actually maintains a pool, connection pool. And probably if you see JVM, right? So JVM memory allocated, max data size, and what is the CPU? I can also search for CPU. What is the system CPU usage and all these kind of things. So it exposes hell number of mechanisms over here so that we can actually monitor our application even in production. Let's say something happens. See, right now our application is running online. There has to be some certain dashboard to show some graphs, to show some logs, whether the service is up and running. Let's say the service is up, we need to show some green color. The service is down, we need to show some red color, something like this. Everything we can do this using Actuator. Okay, so if you just go to this, let me copy paste one of the application started time. Okay, and if you see here for the metrics, if you see this metrics, there is Actuator metrics followed by the required metric name. There is a path variable also. I have not explained you about the path variable, but right now we are in demo sessions. I will explain it to you from the next week. But here, if you just copy paste this application metric over here, sorry. So it was up from almost 15 seconds. Okay. And here, if you can see that there is some specific thing over here, there's something called beans. So right now, how many classes are there in our application? We can see there is a user registration API, @REST controller, and there is @repository. There is @service. That means it is annotated with @service. So we can see the information that over here, Actuator, I will just type beans. That means what are all the objects that while starting the application, Spring has created the objects for the specific classes which are there in our application. If you see that, if I just wanted to search user registration, see here, it has created user registration repository object. And then it has created the user registration. See here, this object has also been created. So everything we can search it. So if you just go to the, so if you see this registration API, this is the object which has to get created. If you just copy paste this and search it, see that object also has been created. And in Spring, we actually call object or instance as a bean. Okay, so you can see all these objects, and also there are some Spring framework related classes, data source, pool metrics, auto configuration class, right? There is something called Hibernate, JPA auto configuration, which we have seen it yesterday. So it has created an object for this one as well. right? So it does hell lot of kind of things, how many beans are created. And if you can just go and see what is the health of this application, it is up and running right now. And if you just go behind the scenes, there is something called a heap dump. You can just click on this heap dump and it will download you one file. And if you see the extension of this file, this is just a heap dump. And I just wanted to show this one. And this is a heap dump, this is a file. Now this heap dump has to be imported in some visual tools. IntelliJ also going to provide some heap dump analysis. So we can just import this and see how our application is actually using our memory. Is there are any memory leaks, etc. It will identify all those kind of things. So basically, if there is a memory leak, lot of money will be costed from our side. I will tell you how this money is actually getting costed from the cloud partners. Okay, so that's the total idea on how it is actually making our Spring framework based applications as production grade applications. Any questions on this, first of all? Okay. And there are a hell lot of things. See, this is just a actuator endpoint, right? This is just an actuator endpoint. But if you see that, yesterday we have seen one configuration class, correct? We'll also go through this first of all. So here they have actually using Spring Hibernate, but we are using Spring JPA, right? So here what I need to do, I'll just go to this project structure. Yeah, hi, come, please come. Okay, can you just see here? We do have this configuration class where we have used all these annotations and also this annotation and followed by @bean. That means session factory bean. So in a Hibernate, we actually call, a repository as session factory. But in JPA, we call it as a JPA repository or repository itself. But if you see that there is another bean which is getting prepared, we need to write all this code. And followed by, we need to prepare a transaction manager also. And followed by some properties which are to just show some logs of the SQL queries. Now, this is actually doing a hell lot of things, right? But if you just go to our actual Spring Boot application, which we have developed yesterday, I'll just close all the tabs and Hibernate JPA auto configuration. If you can see here, I will tell you some more annotations over here. Okay. Everyone knows @configuration, right? But there is some auto configuration classes. Whenever we add this dependency in the pom.xml, Spring Boot starter data JPA. What is this name? Starter. So starters are basically auto configurations. So these starter dependencies, that means these starter softwares will actually trigger JPA auto configuration classes. The main auto configuration class for our application is, if you just go to this application.yaml, we have actually Spring data source, URL, username. We have given all this kind of data over here, right? So if you just go to this Hibernate JPA auto configuration, first of all, we will understand this particular thing. I will just minimize this left side one. So if you just understand this, what is this @auto configuration? After they have given after, that means this class object has to be created only after this class gets instantiated. Understood? Now, what this class is going to have? The first thing, let's see this annotation @enable configuration properties, which we have already gone through. Now it has something called data source properties. There is something called Spring.data source. Now, if you see I will just so this spring.data source has been used in our application.yaml. So if you see here, there is something called spring.data source. And then probably this is a URL, right? Now, if you just go to this data source properties, you can just keep the system in the middle so that it will be. I think you can sit over here. Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay, application.yaml. So here, what it is actually going to do, once it finds the property data source, this URL value will be set to this data source properties of this particular class. Once the URL is set, there are some methods over here which will be executed automatically by the Spring Boot. So if you see over here, there is something called initialize data source builder. But if you see this configuration class over here, which is developed in plain Spring framework itself, they have not used Spring Boot. Right now here, they are actually preparing a bean and they are actually preparing the data source. But here, Spring Boot is going to provide this Hibernate JPA auto configuration class. And behind the scenes, it has something called a data source auto configuration. That means before creating an object for this class, there are some dependencies. You can also define the dependencies, not only as inside a class, you can also define the dependencies in @auto configuration annotation. And there is something called after metadata, where we can give this data source auto configuration class. And if it goes to this, probably there is some data source properties which we can use over here, spring.data source that we have already given over here. And this URL will be mapped to this data source properties, spring.data source dot this, and username and password if you have any password. Okay. And here, instead of asking us to create a data source, what is the data source? Anyone knows about it? So data source is just an object which is required by the JPA or Hibernate in order to connect to database. Basically, data source is going to expect the database URL, username, and the password. Got it? So that's the total idea. So now it is actually preparing the data source for us. If you see this, there is something called a driver class name. We'll just go to this because yesterday we have not go in depth. We'll just go to this. Here, there is something called a driver class name. We have not given driver class name, so this will not get executed. If you just go to this application.yaml, spring.datasource.driver class name I have not provided. I have provided only the URL. So if you just go to this data source properties, this method will not be executed because Spring Boot behind the scenes, it has created so much of code. That means it is basically telling the developers, don't write any configuration classes, just to concentrate on your coding. Controllers, services, and repositories, and do exception handling if you want. That's it. Remaining configurations I will do from my side. You just have to provide me in this format. I need the database URL and the username in order to connect. Since this is a H2 database, by default, the username is SA and the password is empty. Okay, but when we are using MySQL, we need to give username and password of our local database machine. Okay, got it? Now, if you just go to this method will not be, this condition will not be executed. Basically, they are actually giving the data driver class name as null because this is a part of this particular class over here, followed by URL, username, and password. And here, the next thing, if it goes here, basically it is seeing that whether we have given a URL. We have actually given a URL, right? This is a URL. Now, whatever comes after JDBC colon, that is the database name. So basically what it is going to do, so it is basically using database driver. So database driver is a enum, and this enum is going to tell what are all the kind of databases that is being supported by Spring Boot over here. So it supports H2 database, Derby, these are all embedded databases, SQLite, and there is a MySQL, MariaDB, Oracle, Postgres, Redshift, HANA, which is used for big data, JTDS, a SQL Server from Microsoft, and all this kind of things. So it supports hell number of databases. Yeah, one second. Yeah, MongoDB is not a relational database, right? It's a database where it does not have any relationships. It doesn't have a primary key also. These are relational databases. MongoDB is different. We'll come to that part later. Okay. So now if you go to this, so here basically there is something called from JDBC URL. It is actually seeing whether our URL starts with JDBC. If it is starting with JDBC, then probably it is going to take the substring of the JDBC. Once it takes the substring, then probably it will get all the details. This one. Now the first part is H2. That means what it is going to do, since this is a enum, so once it gets H2, it will pass this H2 and it will get this driver from here. So in Spring Boot, we don't have to give the driver class name also of the database. Once we provide the URL, from the URL only it can get the database name. Okay, so that's the total idea, and this is how here the type of the database is getting written over here. And from JDBC URL will execute, and here totally we are returning the driver class name. That's the total idea. Got it? So this is how internally Spring Boot is actually having a lot of auto configurations like Hibernate JP auto configuration. Basically, it is using this class. That means this is not our class. This is a Spring Boot provided auto configuration. Not only for database, let's say if you are working with MongoDB, also it has, for MongoDB also it has auto configuration class. Okay. If you are going to connect with Kafka, we don't have to write Kafka configuration related information. We just have to provide the values like this. That's it. Remaining things Spring Boot will do behind the scenes. That's the total idea. Okay. Gaurav, it's not all embedded. We have only 3 databases, Derby, H2, HSQL kind. These are only the embedded databases. But right now, I will tell you one big problem which is being faced in olden days, first of all. Okay, today I just don't want to do any coding because past 6 sessions I was continuously doing a lot of coding. But today, because the actual sessions are going to be started, we just have to know why Docker is really important for our microservices based architecture. Okay, so first of all, let's say right now, if I just have to start my application, what I'm doing right now. So I'm just right clicking on this and clicking on this. But when this application is deployed on cloud, who will run it? Who takes the responsibility? First of all, the cloud has to take care of it, but there has to be some certain scripts which has to be executed from developer's point of view. Okay. So in order to make our, let's say there are 10 services, we need to start 10 services. Let's say in future, right now in further sessions, we are going to develop 6 different microservices. Can we start each and every microservices with our hands, or it has to be automated? Right. If it has to be automated, then probably we need to use Docker. Got it? So if we are going to use Docker, then probably what we can do from our side, we need to provide some configuration in the Docker Compose YAML file. I will tell you about Docker and Docker Compose, but not right now. Let me tell you one more thing. So let's say there is a recent buzz that AHA app has been crashed, right? Everyone knows that there is a AHA app, right? Everyone know there is a AHA app which has been crashed one day. Do you know the reason for it? Right. So let's say we do have Prime Video, we do have Netflix. All these are softwares running on the web, right? Now, let's say there is a new movie releasing on Netflix or Prime Video, famous movie, which has not been released in theaters during the COVID time. There will be millions of users who will be watching the movie at the same time. Let's say there are 1 million users operating on the Prime Video or Netflix. What will happen? If it is not having let's say, let's say the local machine. Right now we do have, everyone has a laptop. So it has some certain RAM size, 2 GB, 4 GB, 8 GB, everything. Let's say the RAM size is 2 GB. Let's say if I just wanted to run a lot of applications in my system, what will happen? The system will be very much slow, and sometimes it does not respond to our clicks also. Then what we basically do? We just long press the power button in order to restart our machine. Correct or not? Why this is happening? Because the server, that means in our laptop, there are so many softwares running and our RAM is not enough to handle our requests. Google Chrome is opened, antivirus is opened, Docker is opened, Kubernetes cluster is running. I'm opening a notepad. I'm just running a YouTube. There are so many tabs in the Google Chrome. So all these kind of things will consume a lot of CPU resources. Let me tell you, open the task manager. I'll also show very good examples when we are actually developing Spring Boot applications. There are only 4 parts. One is the CPU, one is the memory, another one is disk size, and another one is network. So we will cover all these 4 parts when we are actually discussing about Docker. But before starting Docker, I just wanted to highlight some points. Why we need to use Docker to develop Spring Boot microservices. Okay. First of all, in the olden days, we don't have cloud. Everyone knows about it. Cloud came into the market. It was there probably, but most of them are using data centers where they actually install their physical machines as servers, as a storage. Now cloud came into the market, but why cloud? What cloud really makes it easy for developers in order to deploy their applications, scale well, load balance, everything. Anyone knows any reason for that? Okay, let me tell you. Everyone knows about Flipkart, Amazon, e-commerce, right? So when there is a festival season, there will be a lot of discounts will be given by a lot of vendors who are actually posting their products, right? Or items. In the olden days, let's say Amazon or Flipkart is going to maintain only one virtual machine. There is no cloud in previous days. Let's say there is a virtual machine. Do you know what is a virtual machine? First of all, virtual machine it's just like a laptop machine with some operating system. But virtual means that machine is not physically present. It is there on some server. Got it? Okay. Now let's imagine Christmas season is coming in, right? Christmas season is coming in. Now what happens? We have only one virtual machine. It has 32 GB RAM. Now 10 million or 15 million users are operating on the website at the same time. What will happen? The application will crash. It will not be able to take. See, as a human being, I can lift some amount of weight on my hands. If it exceeds, what will happen? We will die. Okay. The same reason server is also having or handling the same kind of mechanism. If it is not going to handle certain load, the app will crash. That means it will be down. It will down and it will be dead. So we need to do some modifications to the server in order to make it restart again, right? So previously, when we are using VMs, virtual machines for our Amazon or Flipkart, when festival season comes, millions and millions of users will operate on the website. So what they actually do, they bought 3 more virtual machines along with this virtual machine. There are 4 virtual machines. Now, when they buy 4 virtual machines, load will be equally distributed on 4 virtual machines instead of one single machine. Now, let's say the festival season is over. Now, what happens? These 3 machines are waste and only one single machine can handle our end user's request. But how I'm saying this as waste? Because when he buys virtual machines, he need to pay it for every month. Do you know that? Every month he need to pay. That would be a loss for him. So there is some kind of mechanism, the big standard companies are going to follow, and they came up with one idea why we cannot maintain some cloud environment instead of having a physical environment for our servers. So everything is on cloud right now. And if you just wanted to increase your virtual machines, pay it when there is a load. Don't pay it if there is no load. That's it. This actually makes cloud so much popular. And also in cloud, we actually deploy our Java applications as Docker containers, not as Java applications. Okay, let me tell you what is the Docker container first of all. So Docker is a platform. It's just like an operating system, but it needs our operating system to run on. Okay, so to install Docker, I don't have to install virtual machine. Sorry, I don't have to install operating system. But in order to design a laptop, there has to be a certain OS, Mac OS or Windows operating system. OS is required. Anyone knows about kernel? Kernel. Probably you might have heard about kernel or not, but I will tell you. For Windows operating system, there is something called a core part, which is a kernel. So what kernel will do, if you just see this task manager, can you see 4 components on the top? CPU, memory, disk, network. These are core part of the operating system. There are something else, drivers, Wi-Fi, Ethernets, LANs, everything is there. But in order to install Docker on our machine, it needs only the core part of the operating system. It does not require complete operating system to install. Okay, we can install Docker on our machine directly because since we have operating system actually shares CPU, memory, disk, and network. These only 4 components will be used by Docker because that is actually required by Docker in order to run on our machine. Now let's imagine what happens with Docker first of all. Anyone knows about Docker? But I'll take separate session on Docker, but not right now. Okay. I'll just close this a little bit. Okay. But probably we'll start with Docker from next week. So Docker is basically going to deploy our Java applications automatically. Right now, we are actually running this application, right? So is there any alternative way to run this application? Anyone? Through command line, how we can run it? Okay, let me tell you one simple reason. Okay, I just wanted to open this inside a command prompt. First of all, open in Explorer. And I just wanted to go inside this. And here, I just wanted to show more options. And I just wanted to git bash over here. Don't worry about git. We will talk about git later on. So here, I just wanted to run mvn clean install. Also, I will tell you about these commands, what these commands are basically meant for. Okay. So just press enter. Do you know how to build our application? Because before we deploy our applications on cloud, we need to build our application first. Okay. So right now the application is getting built. And if you see that it is basically installing one jar at this path. Everyone knows about jar first of all. So it's a Java archive file, but that means it is containing a Java project or Java application. Now, if you just go to this particular folder right now, can you see there is a target? Inside this target, we have a jar. Now, to run this application in an alternative way, what I can do, I can just open this in Git. So I will just open this. And I will just say it as clear. And here, I just wanted to, how to run a jar file, java-jar. And so I just wanted to go inside the target because it is there inside a target folder. Okay, now java-jar and this is the jar, right? Now I can just enter this. Now this application will run like this. Right now, we are actually starting the Spring Boot application by right-clicking on that, right? So basically, what will happen over here right now? Okay. So port 9090 was already in use. I will just go to this. This application is already running. So I'll just stop this. Yeah. And I will just run this application again. Now it has started, right? So it has started on port 9090. So this is the alternative way. So only these two ways Spring Boot is going to provide to us. You can run the application only these two ways. Either you can go to the IDE and click on run as Java application or Spring Boot application, or generate a jar. That means build the application. It will generate a jar and you need to run this jar on your machine. But what we basically do, let's say if there are 10 different Java applications, can we go ahead and, Java -jar, one service, Java -jar, one service 10 times? And even if it is IDE, we need to run that Java application, right? Now, there is another way. There's something called Docker. We can use Docker to automate these steps. But behind the scenes, Docker is also going to provide one more way. This application is a single instance, right? The single application which is running. How I can run different instances? Do you know instances? So right now, if our application is running on cloud, that application is running on a server. That is a single instance which will be served. But if there is more load coming in, what will happen? One single application cannot handle the load. It has some certain CPU threshold. Our instances has to be increased. So we can increase 10 instances or 12 instances. That means this user registration service can be run 10 times on different ports. And then whatever the requests which are coming, it will transfer the load of the request to one instance, 5 requests, another instance, 5 requests, and some other request, two requests. So it will basically distribute the load among these instances. That is something called scalability and load balancing at the same time. So Docker is going to do all these kind of things behind the scenes. Okay. So this is what I just wanted to explain, but this is theoretical, but we will see that practical maybe in coming next week from Monday. Okay. So any questions? Thank you, Murli Krishna, for thank you so much for all your concerns. I think. And do you have any questions on this, first of all? And probably we will proceed with some other scenarios, but I think it will take some time, but probably I will just write a simple 2 Spring Boot applications, and we will just make a communication between those 2 applications. Okay. I'll just close this. Yeah. Murli Krishna, don't take that much time to ping in the chat. So probably you can just listen. So right now we have a user registration service, right? I just wanted to develop another application, just a simple test application. Let's see. Let's go to this start.spring.io. And I just wanted to select Maven and add the dependency only web. And I just wanted to keep it as a demo project only. Generate it. Yeah. So here, I just wanted to extract it over here. And we'll just go to this. And I think we can also open this with Visual Studio Code. New window. make that application as it is. So right now, I just wanted to keep one single REST controller inside this. Let's say test controller. What's happening? Yeah, 1 second. Java class, test controller. And what are all the different annotations? But again, I'm saying I will repeat all these kind of things. This is continuation to demo sessions. Okay. Don't worry about the Spring framework initially. Once we start from next week, I will repeat all these kind of things from scratch, but with the project. So here I just wanted to give request mapping as /test service. And here I just wanted to write one simple get mapping, which will actually return a string test. @get mapping and /test. And probably you can just keep it or not. It is not required over here. Okay. So here I just wanted to return a simple message. Response from demo application. That is the only kind of thing. Okay. Now I just wanted to run this application on the port. I just wanted to remove this application.properties. And I just wanted to generate application.yaml file. Don't worry about this YAML file and .properties. Again, I'm saying this. Just create a file, application.yaml. And here I just wanted to give server port. And let's give this as 9091 and okay, 9092, and this is as 9091. Okay. Now here, what I need to do, this is a Java application, which is the Spring Boot application, which is running on port 1991. I just have to call another Java application from this user registration service. What I can do. Okay, I know the no answer is there, but for that we have something called Spring Cloud. There is Spring Framework, there is Spring Boot, and there is Spring Cloud. Spring Framework is basically used to develop Spring Framework-based applications. We need to write a lot of configurations and all these kind of things. But if you are going to use Spring Boot, then probably we don't have to write configuration classes. That's why Spring Boot is very much popular to develop Spring Framework-based applications. Spring Boot does not have any coding logic. It only has some libraries, which minimizes developers' effort. The next thing is Spring Cloud. Spring Cloud is basically designed to develop microservices in Spring. Got it? So these are the only 3 hot topics in the market. Spring Cloud is basically used to establish communication between various Spring Boot applications, which are running as services. And this Spring Cloud has a lot of artifacts to make a communication between other services. And one of the artifacts is Spring Cloud Feign. So if you just see the Spring Cloud Open Feign, this is a declarative REST client. It creates a dynamic implementation of an interface decorated with JAX RS or Spring MVC annotations. In order to say in simple terms, when we use Feign client inside our user registration service, we can call the demo service, which is running as a separate Spring Boot application. But how to use this Feign client in our user registration service, and how to call the demo service, which is running as a separate Spring Boot application. Okay. If you just go to the start.spring.io, there's something called select Maven. Just select the dependency, which is something called OpenFeign. Just select this. And if you just go to the explore, this is the dependency. Let's copy this dependency and paste it in our pom.xml of the user registration service. But this will give an error. I will tell you why. Cannot find artifact Spring Cloud Starter OpenFeign. That means here when I use Spring Boot Starter Data JPA without version, it is working over here. But why it is not working for Spring Cloud? This is not Spring Boot. For Spring Boot, we have actually given a parent. But for Spring Cloud, we have not given anything. Okay. But if you just go to this initializer, there is something called a dependency management. I will tell you about dependency management. Things will even get complicated because in order to explain dependency management, we have to develop our mini project where we actually use dependency management for our own Spring Boot services. Then only you will understand what is the version or what is the use of dependency management. So dependency management is the alternative way to declare one parent. So here we have actually used Spring Boot, right? Spring Boot has already been defined as a parent. We cannot define another parent. In order to define another parent for this starter dependency, we need to define the parent inside the dependency management. This is the another way to define multiple parents. Got it? Now I'll just copy this and go over to this user registration service, and I'll just go and enter after these dependencies. And I will just refresh it. And now, okay, so here I need to paste the version. Here it is actually declared inside this. I'll tell you about this Maven also in depth. Don't worry for now. I just wanted to show communication between two services. Now you can see that the service or the pom.xml is in sync here. I just wanted to minimize this. And you can just go to this main class and give an annotation called @enable Feign clients. There can be n number of Feign clients. That's it. Now, I just wanted to go to this service. Now, which service we are going to call? Demo, right? I just wanted to call it as interface. Demo service broker. Okay. And on top of this interface, annotate this with @Feign client. That means this client is basically used to call demo service endpoint, which is having this endpoint over here. Got it? Now, so to this, we need to provide two attributes. One is what is the name of the service? And if you see, the name of the service is nothing. If you just go to this spring.application.yaml, there is something called spring.application.name. This is how we actually give names for our microservices. I will call it as demo-service. And if I just go to here, I will just give demo-service is a service which has to be called. But along this, we need to give the URL of the application on which this application is running. Localhost : that means we need to use http://localhost : what is the 9092 / what is the request mapping annotation? Test service, copy this and paste it over here. And that's it. We have actually given this one. And the next thing, what you can do, you can just copy paste the same over here. That's it. This is how we actually create a proxy for the existing service in order to make it call. Now, we don't have to do anything. We just have to go to the user registration API. And here I will just introduce one simple get mapping, public. The return type of that one is a string, right? For the demo service. String call demo service. So here I just wanted to make this as get mapping. So here it is registration / get mapping / demo. Okay. And here, if you just go to this demo service broker, this is the interface. We just have to auto-wire it. Private demo service broker and annotate this with @auto-wire. And here, return this dot demo service broker dot test. And this is basically this one. So this is there inside the user registration service. Now, I just have to start this application. And let's debug this application first of all, so that we'll see whether the call is happening or not. I'll just keep a debugging point here. And I will also go to this, the demo test controller. I'll also keep a debugging point over here. And also I will start this application, and this application is running on port 1992. I'll just debug this application as well. Let's see if both the applications are up and running. So this is running. It's not started yet. Okay, 1 second. Yeah. So it is up. Good. Now, let's say this is also up or not. Yeah, this is also up. Okay. Now these are two different applications. Now I'll just go to the, but I have not explained anything about this Feign client. I will explain you, but I just wanted to show how the communication will happen between these two applications. Okay. Don't worry. Just saying again and again for newcomers also, you don't have to worry about the basic things. I will tell you all the basics. So 1991 / registration, and what is the endpoint? Test, right? Or the demo. This is the user registration service where we have this registration and the demo. Basically, it will call the demo service application, the endpoint, which is this one. Now I'll just hit the endpoint here, and we can see that the control came to here, and we can see that the demo service broker is initialized or not. I'll just go forward. That's the total. Yeah. Got it? Now application from our user registration service. Now we have not got the response yet because it is in the demo service. It has to execute, right? So here I will just click on finish. And here we have something exceptions over here, and think there are no exceptions. This is a response from demo application. So that's the total idea. But again, I'm saying this is just a showcase of the demo continuation sessions where we are actually going to build complex applications by doing this kind of communications between so many microservices. But there is a disadvantage of this particular approach. Let's say what happens if the demo service is down? We will not be getting the response. Right? So we need to use some messaging tools like Kafka so that even if the service is down, it can respond later on. Got it? So that's the total idea, guys. And that's the end of the session. If you just wanted to ask anything, you can just ask me right now. Sorry? Yes, right. But I will tell you the use case. See, whenever we are getting some notifications for our bank account, right? So whenever there is a money credit or money debit, immediately sometimes we will get the messages that amount has been credited or debited. But sometimes we'll get the messages in night. Do you know the reason? Because the service itself is in some load or it is down. Maybe once the service is up, it will be given. So the simple example for this one is, if you just consider the YouTube, okay, I have subscribed to one channel and there are 10 other people who are subscribed to the channel. Now, whenever there is a notification received, I have got the notification because I have a very good network connectivity. Those 10 persons who have subscribed to that channel, they are in village, imagine. Now, do they get notifications or not after some time when they come to the network, good network? They will getting it, right? So this is something called a publish subscribe model. And Kafka is also work on the same path. But I will tell you how it is actually going to work. Okay, that's it, guys. A course duration is 3 months, Murali Krishna. So first month is a mini project. The second month we'll be starting on the Angular project, where we'll be parallelly developing Spring Boot major project services as well as the Angular. Suresh Prasad.
So I have a simple question, like, can we
Yeah.
have Eclipse and IntelliJ both on the same machine?
Sorry?
Can we have IntelliJ and Eclipse both IDE on the same machine, or we need to have just one?
Yeah, you can also maintain 2, 3 STS Eclipse or IntelliJ. You can whatever you want to work on, you can work on. But I basically demand people to
IntelliJ.
use
Okay.
IntelliJ. Yeah.
Because I have Mac, on Mac I have IntelliJ, but I'm seeing some issue with all batch files. When I create some batch file, just getting some issue. So I
Okay.
just
Maybe I will check that, Suresh.
And what is the configuration, what the minimum configuration required, that machine system configuration?
No. For IntelliJ, Eclipse, and all this kind of software, there is no configuration required.
No, I'm talking
These are
about
software. Yeah.
for the project, like for doing the project, what do we need?
Yeah, I will tell you the tools. We will be using Docker Desktop, first of all. And then followed by, we will be using Docker Compose tools also.
Okay, so we don't
And-
require bigger configuration, right? Or we need to have.
No, I will tell you once the time comes. Okay, Suresh.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
planning to buy some laptop system, trying to see which one will be good for.
I think which system you are going to buy, Mac or Windows?
I would say Windows already. Mac
Okay,
and
Windows. If you are buying Windows, then make sure that your RAM is 8 GB at least.
8 GB. Okay.
8 GB RAM. Because it will be very much fast. That's what. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Suresh. Naresh?
Hi, sir. Sorry, I joined. This is my first demo session. May I know the concept, which concept we are going to cover in this?
These are
course?
demo sessions only, Naresh. Actual
Demo
sessions have
session
not
only?
started yet. Yeah, demo sessions only.
No. Concept. What are the concepts are we are going to cover in this course?
Yeah, Spring Core, Spring Web, Spring JPA, along with Spring Security, and followed by Spring Boot and Spring Cloud, along with microservices.
And AWS Cloud also?
AWS Cloud will be doing at the end, Naresh.
At the end, right? Okay.
Yeah. At the end, that means from the second month. For the first month, we'll be spending the time on this services like Spring Boot, and Spring Cloud. And from the second month, we'll be working on the AWS services.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Why IntelliJ over Eclipse? Because Eclipse is more compatible with Spring Boot. No, sir. Murali Krishna, I will tell you one simple thing. To run Spring Boot applications, it is okay to use Eclipse. But when we are using Docker, right? So IntelliJ provides a very good platform. And also sometimes we need to run Kubernetes also. So IntelliJ provides all the stuff behind the scenes. And also IntelliJ is going to provide a very good embedded database for MySQL. So we can also see the records over there instead of using multiple softwares. Murali. Yeah. And I'll just see some other people questions also over here. Sunday is a holiday. Basically, Sunday is a holiday, so we'll be having the classes till Saturday, and sometimes we can also skip the sessions on Saturdays also if you want. It's up to you. So will you explain the Prometheus Grafana? Yes, Abhilash. So if you just see my screen, I have actually this Grafana dashboard. So if you just go to the GitHub of mine, there's something called movie ticket booking system, where we do have the Docker Compose file, where we actually define a lot of services like Prometheus, Grafana. See here, there's a Grafana Loki for logs. There's a Promptel for logs for UI. There is something called Prometheus. And there is something called a Grafana to show our dashboard of our application. So you'll get it, most of the things. Don't worry about that. Abhilash, is that okay? Yeah, thank you so much. Any other questions from anyone, or we can wrap up for the day? I think it's almost 10:30. Probably tomorrow I will start the session by 9. Kindly make sure that you join by 9, because sometimes offline people are very much less, like 4 to 5 people. So probably I will take the sessions by 9:10 or 9:15. Okay. And some people have raised their hands. 1 second. Mahesh.
Sir, just I want to understand whatever tools and coding we do, same standards are used in company, or it will be little bit different?
No,
whenever
it's
you do?
it's exactly the same, Mahesh.
Like tools and Kafka related
Right,
things.
right, exactly, Mahesh.
Means
The same. Yeah.
it is standard level, correct?
Right,
Used in
exactly.
company. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so
So
much.
you will understand it once I start the coding. It will be very much complex. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the reason I'm asking everyone to refresh their core Java knowledge, because core Java in-depth knowledge is really required. I'm not going to write some small steps and make you understand. Okay. So then AK Saho.
Yes, sir. Which technology you are going to use in this project?
We are basically using Spring Framework, Saho. So basically we will be using core, web, security. And apart from that, all our applications will be Spring Boot applications. So we'll be using Spring Boot technology to develop Spring Framework based applications. But in order to develop microservices, we need Spring Cloud. So we'll be using Spring Cloud also, along with the cloud like AWS Cloud, to deploy our microservices and make the communication between them.
So you are also going to use microservices.
Right. That's the focus of this particular training, right? We need to write microservices.
So how many use cases you are going to cover in this? How many projects and how many use cases you are going to cover?
Totally to say 15 different microservices we are going to develop. So in the mini project, we are going to develop six microservices where we will be using Kafka tool, MongoDB as a NoSQL database, MySQL as a relational database, and also some notification system which will be using AWS SNS to in order to send the emails. But in the major project, we'll be having the Swiggy-based application where we'll be having a UI as well as backend microservices. There are almost 9 microservices that we are going to develop, Saho.
Okay. No. My question is, how many use cases you are going to cover in this?
There are so many use cases. I cannot say 10 or 15 or 20 or 30. There are so many use cases, Saho. Do you know the functionality of Swiggy?
Swiggy,
Zomato. Do you know
Yes,
that?
yes.
When we
Yes,
order
yes.
a food, what we actually follow? We basically create an order. Restaurant has to approve it. and then followed by payment. Once the payment is done, then only restaurant will approve it. And then in order to make a payment, we have to use payment gateways. It is not simple like a Java application, which is going to return as payment success. We'll be using PayPal or Stripe for our mini project, but in the major project, we'll be using the Razor. Okay, Saha?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Even also in major project, you are also going to use Angular.
Yes, in the major project, we are going to use Angular, not for the mini project.
In Angular, for basic, you will give to training, or we need to do outside, or how is it?
No, I will be taking the training for
Thank you.
Angular. Yeah.
Okay. Duration will be 3 months.
Yes, right.
Okay. And if we are not taking any video courses, only class notes means it is available.
If you
for
are
us.
coming to class every day, I think you don't need.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. It's up to you, Saho.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's all. No one has any questions. Can we wrap up for the day? It's not mandatory to learn Spring course. I'm saying it from day one, Shravani and others. Okay. So these are demo continuation sessions. Actual sessions have not been started yet. Okay. So when we will start actual course, we'll be starting from next week, Monday. So probably get strong on core Java basically. Okay. So let's have our classes 6 days a week so that we can cover more and maintain continue. Yeah, I think it is till Saturday. Till Saturday, we are going to have the sessions. Only on Sunday, there will be a holiday. Okay. I think that's all. No one has any questions. Then probably we can wrap up for the day. And thank you so much and have a great day.